Alright, this is Mr. Gillum, and today we're going to learn about how to multiply decimals. Also maybe a little bit of review for some of us, but a much needed review because to this point we have not been using our calculators yet. Brushing up on our basic skills. So by the end of this, hopefully you know how to multiply decimals. So I broke it down into some steps here for you. It looks like a lot of information, but this is all things that you've done before. So what we're going to do is we're going to determine which one has more digits. So for instance, if it was 1.32 and 4.4156, the bottom number would have more digits. The top number would have 3 digits. The bottom number would have 5 digits, or 5 numbers. Okay, and this is just for visual purposes. I'm going to put the one with the most digits. Now, it doesn't always, just because it has more digits, does not mean it's the bigger number. So don't think of it as the bigger number. Think of it as the number with the most digits. Okay. Then we're going to line the other number up underneath of it, and we're going to move it, regardless of where the decimal place is. We're just going to scooch it over to the right as far as we can. Then we're going to multiply. And then you'll know where to put the decimal point if you count the number of digits behind the decimal place in the original problem. So if we were doing, like I said, 1.32 times 4, let's just do it backwards so I make sure I line these up well. 4.4156, I would know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers behind the decimal point, so I would know that I would move my decimal point 6 spaces from the right when I'm writing my answer. Okay, and unlike multiplication or unlike addition and subtraction, you don't have to line up your decimal points. Okay, and I just want to point out as well that this sign as multiplication is going to be very confusing soon because we're going to start throwing variables into our problems, and the multiplication sign that looks like that is going to be very confusing because you're not going to be sure if it's an x, the number or the letter x, or a variable or a multiplication sign. So just what I like to do is I just like to put the point. It means multiply, and the older you get, the more you're going to see the multiply sign, the less you're going to see the x as the multiply sign. So we're going to start practicing with a point right now. No, not a point, it's just a dot that's about halfway up in between the numbers, in the middle of the numbers. So back on topic. What we're doing is we're taking 7.56 times 3.8. This guy has 3 digits. This guy has 2 digits, so I'm going to write the 3 digits on top and the 2 digits on the bottom. Right there. Okay, I'm going to put my little multiplication sign right there because I am doing it up and down. And here's how we're going to follow the steps. We're going to just kind of ignore those decimal points until the very end. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take 8 times 6. Okay, this first column. 8 times 6. And I know that's 48. Okay, 6 times 8 is 48. So what I'm going to use is always the ones position. That's the number I'm going to write down, 8. Okay, the 4 is how many tens that I'm adding to the next column. So I'm going to add 4 onto there. And I'm still using my 8. 8 times 5 is 40. And I also have those 4 that I added on. So 40 plus 4 equals 44. So again, I use the ones there, and I carry over the 4. So this is the ones. I write that one down, and I add on the 4 to the next column. And then finally, 8 times 7 is 56. So I'm going to use, I'm actually going to use the whole 56 because there's nowhere to carry on to. So 56 is the next part of my answer. Now, here's where I see a lot of people make a little boo-boo. When we go to the next line, what we need to do is we need to add a little place value, a placeholder there. And the reason we need that is because we were using, in this case, the tenths, and now we're using the ones. And so we're talking about a bigger number, so we need to add a decimal on, a decimal place, because we've gotten 10 times as big. So we have to put a 0 there. Okay, so that's placeholder there. And let's go ahead and do the next part. Now instead of you looking at the 8, I'm looking at the 3. 3 times 6 is 18. So I'm going to use the 8 there. I'm going to add the 1 on there. And the reason I'm using different colors is so I don't get confused about that 4 there. 3 times 5 is 15. And I have a blue 1 up there, so I'm going to add 1 to that, 16. So I'm going to put the 6 there, and I'm going to also carry that 1 over. And then 3 times 7, 21, plus 1 is 22. And again, I'm not going to carry the 2 over because there's nothing to carry it over to. So I'm just going to put 22 in there. Now I'm going to add it up. 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 13. And 2. Alright. So I'm just adding and carrying over just like what we learned before. Now, this is a lot of numbers. 28328. Here's how I determine the number of decimal places. Back to my original problem, and I count the numbers that are behind the decimal place. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 behind the decimal place. So if there's 3 behind the decimal place, I'm going to start with my invisible decimal there, and I'm going to move it 3 over. And that's where my answer is going to be, 28.328. Alright, just like you remember it, I hope. Okay, so let's take a look at another one here. We got a little bigger problem this time. And I'm going to go through it a little quicker as well. The 0.3445 has more digits. It's not a bigger than 3.9, but it does have more digits. So I'm going to put 3445 on top times 3.9. And we're going to solve this guy. I'm going to go a little quicker this time. I'm not going to show all that work on the side, because I think that was a pretty good review for you on how this works. So we're going to do 9 times 5 is 45. I'm going to put the 5 there and the 4 there. 9 times 4 is 36 plus 4 is 40. Put a 0 there and a 4 there. 9 times 4 again is 36 plus 4 more again is 40. So I'm going to put a 0 there and carry my 4. And 9 times 3 is 27, plus 4 is 31. And there's nowhere to carry, so I'm just going to write the whole 31. Alright, now again, the reason I'm putting a 0 as a placeholder here is because I'm talking about a number that's 10 times as big, in a position that's 10 times as big as the 10th position. Every time I move over one, I have to add on another placeholder because I'm talking about 10 times as big each time. So in this case, 3 times 5 is 15. Carry a 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 3 times 4 again is 12, plus 1 is 13. And 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Do your best to line those up. And what we're doing is we're going to add those. And so 5 plus 0 is 5. 5, 3, 4, 3, 1. And so I have 1, 2. I should count. I'm going to count with a different color here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers that are behind the decimal point. So I'm going to start my invisible decimal point and move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1.34355. There you go. So I went through that one quite a bit quicker. If you're still confused on the steps, I would watch another example or maybe go back to the first example. This one's just a little shorter than the last one, which is good news for Mr. Gillen because this video is getting kind of long. Let's go ahead and put the one with the most digits on the top and multiply that by the one with the least digits on the bottom. And we're going to go through this one even a little step quicker than that. 5 times 7 is 35. The 5 goes there, the 3 goes there. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. And 5 times 0 is 0. Now I'm going to put my placeholder in because now we're talking about this value is 10 times as big as the last value. So we need to make it 10 times bigger by putting a 0 on there. 5 times 7 is 5. Carry my 3. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3, and 5 times 0 is 0. Now it's just a matter of addition. And so let's add 5 plus 0 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 0 plus 3 is 3. And 0 is 0. I'm not even going to write that one. I'm going to count how many decimal places I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are all the numbers behind the decimal point. So again, I'm going to take my invisible decimal point, that is currently right here, and I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I ran out of numbers, so I'm going to have to use some placeholders, and that's why I put the little lumps down there. And so I have at the end of the day 0.00385. That's my product, which is a fancy word for the result of a multiplication problem. Now we got a mumbo jumbo problem, and so I'll give you an extra credit point if you would like to write this one down. If you would like to stop watching the video, then that would be fine. But I'm going to go for it. Here we go. 13.723 times this beast right here. Here we go. We got this. We're going to start with the 5, and we're going to go kind of quick here. 5, 1, 10, 11, 1, 35, 36, 3, 15, 18, 1, 6. Boom. First step done. I'm just multiplying and following the same steps as before. 5 times 3 was 15, and so on. And I think that we've probably done this in the past, and you're getting pretty good at it. So moving on to the next color here, I'm going to use green next. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 7 is 14, carry a 1, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 2 times 1 is 2. We're going to add those together before we get too carried away. Or you could continue going below, but I like adding them together, so I'm going to say 5, 7, 10, carry a 1, 13, 1, 14, 1, 3. Okay, so that's our first start. We got the first two out of the way. Now we're moving another one over, so 10 times as far as the last one, so this time we need 2 zeros because we moved 2 spots over from the last one. So 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 7 is 14. Should put a 14 and a carry a 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and 2 times 1 is 2. So we're going to go ahead and add those in there too. We're going to have a running total. 5, 7, 6, 7, 8, 10, 1, 3. Just like that. And finally, I have my 1s. And I always love multiplying by 1s because it's very quick for Mr. Gillum to do in his head. However, we've moved now 3 spots from where we started. So 1, 2, 3 spots from where we started. And 1 times everything up there. 3, 2, 7, 3, 1. Alright, add them all up. 5, 7, 6, 0, 1, 1, 1, 8, 6, 1. Whew, it's a long one. Big mumbo jumbo problem. Okay, so we're now just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers that are behind the decimal place. So I'm going to start with my invisible decimal, and I'm going to start moving 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks to me like our solution will be, or our product will be 1681.0675. And I know I went through that one pretty quickly, but someday you will also be that fast because we're going to practice, practice, practice. So that's it for today. Hopefully you know how to multiply decimals.